Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Today's podcast is sponsored by SLI Systems, providers of intelligent site search and navigation solutions. Learn more at sli-systems.com and listen to their interviews at ecommercepodcast.com. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Well, welcome to another edition of E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. My name is Kerry Murdoch, and we're joined today by Dan Robbins. Dan is Vice President of Marketing for search analytics provider Enquisite, which provides some interesting services for businesses, analytic services, and we wanted to ask Dan's view on that. And Dan, we want to thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Kerry. It's great to be here.
Sure. Dan, I know that Enquisite is reasonably new. I think I saw that your company launched in 2006, and you're a search analytics provider. Could you explain that to us? What makes Enquisite unique from other analytics companies that we know are out there?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Well, Enquisite, in the name there, Enquisite Search Analytics, we focus on the search aspect of the referrals that go to a website. So where web analytics solutions are really good at telling you what the visitor's done once they've visited the site, and they can tell you a little bit about how they got there, there's still a gap. And what we do here at Enquisite is we fill that gap of information and provide a much more rich picture of what people are doing coming from the major engines and third tier, pretty much any search engine out there. So we give you a lot of insight into the visitor intent, what they're searching on, and then we start tracking that all the way through to conversion. But it's all about, exposing all of that data really quickly.
Say, Dan, I'm a smaller e-commerce merchant. Our listeners are smaller e-commerce merchants. Say I sell, cooking supplies, to pull out a hypothetical example. What could Enquisite tell me if I used your services? What could it tell me about what you just said that other analytics couldn't? Could you give us a specific example there?
Sure. Well, if you're selling cookware and you're, let's say you've got some local geographic locations that you want to drive business to, as well as your online e-commerce site, we can really start to expose local search market activity. So Enquisite will get down to the zip code level, help you analyze how traffic is coming in from different regions. You can also improve your rankings in different regions by knowing where you rank. So a good example of that would be if you're, trying to sell in New York, Seattle, and, your e-commerce business is sitting in Texas. We allow you to see where you perform in the rankings in those regions, because you will actually show up in search different in different parts of the country. And the only way you'd be able to tell that without a tool like Enquisite is to actually come in from one of those IPs in that region. So we help you, expose how you're performing in the different markets. The other thing it does is it shows you the intricacies in, what people call things. So for cooking supplies, that one's going to be a little tougher for me, but let's say cabins and rental properties like that. One part of the country, they might call it a cottage. In another part of the country, it's a cabin. So being able to, optimize for those different regional terms is also a huge benefit.
How can a site rank higher in one geographic market than the other? Perhaps I missed something there. So how can my site rank higher for local search in Dallas than it does in New York, say?
So in Dallas, you might have some good links from local sites that have good strength in that area for the different terms you're looking at. If it's cooktop pots or whatever it might be, and you might not have that same link strength over in New York. So you could show up on page 2 in New York of the SERPs, and coming in from Google, and page 1 in Texas. What you could do then is go, find some juicy links over in New York and start to bump your rankings up.
How much do your products cost? I think you have 3 offerings for our listeners. Give us an idea of what they would pay to sign up for Enquisite. It's a hosted solution, I assume.
It is a hosted solution. So we start at $49.99, and the way we charge is based on search referrals. That differs from the typical analytics packages where it's page views. So we're only going to charge you for the referrals that come in via search. And so for $49.99, you get up to 25,000 referrals. We also offer a couple of our standard reports absolutely free. The only thing required to get up and running with the product is to sign up, and then you'll get a piece of JavaScript code to place on each page of your website.
Mm-hmm. So with Enquisite, is there a need for other analytics to supplement Enquisite, or will Enquisite do, I know it's really strong with search analytics in particular, your offerings are, will it handle all analytics needs of an e-commerce business?
No, we're not trying to supplant web analytics. We are meant to run alongside, and we provide that extremely focused picture on search. So we don't compete with web analytics in that aspect.
Okay, well that's interesting. That's an interesting niche, Dan. Well, our listeners, of course, are e-commerce merchants. Anything else on your mind that you'd like to say to them as it relates to Enquisite, as it relates to search analytics generally?
Well, I'd just like to invite all your listeners to drop by Enquisite.com, sign up for a free trial, and, just give the product a try. The real proof is in how it performs. I think that, people are always surprised by, the data that comes in about how people reach their site. We often, everybody thinks about their businesses from an internal perspective, but how do visitors really, find your site? And, most people, like I said, are just extremely surprised by the terms that are used to find, their sites.
Well, that's Enquisite.com. I'm going to spell that out for our listeners. That's E, N as in Nancy, Q-U-I-S as in Sam, I, T as in Tom, E.com. Enquisite.com. And Dan Robbins, Vice President of Marketing for Enquisite, we thank you for your time today, sir.
Hey, thank you very much, Kerry. It was a pleasure being here.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.